When God delays, it's not because He has forgotten you, it's because He's preparing something far greater than what you asked for. Every delay has divine purpose. It's easy to trust God when everything happens quickly, when prayers are answered instantly, and when life flows smoothly. But real faith, the kind that moves mountains, is proven in the waiting season. When you've prayed, cried, and nothing seems to change, that's when heaven is testing your heart. Will you still trust God when His timing doesn't match your own? You see, God's delay is not His denial. Just because He hasn't said yes today doesn't mean He won't say it tomorrow. God's silence doesn't mean His absence. It means He's working in ways that are beyond what your eyes can see. Maybe He's protecting you from something that would have broken you. Maybe He's developing strength, wisdom, and patience inside you because the blessing you're asking for requires a stronger version of you to carry it. God will never give you something before you're ready to hold it. A diamond can't shine before it's been through pressure. A seed can't grow before it's buried. You might feel buried, but in truth, you're being planted. So many people give up right before the miracle happens. They let doubt win, they stop praying, and they walk away from what could have been the biggest breakthrough of their lives. But those who wait on the Lord renew their strength. Waiting is not wasting. When you wait on God, He renews your spirit, He builds your endurance, and He prepares the path ahead. While you think nothing is happening, God is moving mountains in your favor, arranging divine connections, opening doors you don't even know exist yet. Think about it. Joseph waited in prison for years before God raised him to power. David waited in the wilderness before he became king. Even Jesus waited 30 years before beginning His ministry. If God made them wait, then there's glory in the waiting. Every moment of delay is designed to prepare you for destiny. God isn't punishing you, He's positioning you. So stop worrying about how long it's taking. Instead of asking, when, God, start saying, I trust you, God. Because when you surrender the timing to Him, peace will fill your heart. You'll realize that what God has for you is worth every second of waiting. The delay is God's way of ensuring that when it finally happens, it won't fade, it won't fail, and it won't be taken away. Your blessing has a scheduled time. It's written in heaven's calendar, and no human hand can stop it. You don't have to chase it, you just have to stay faithful. Keep believing, keep walking, and keep trusting. What's meant for you will find you when the time is right. And when it does, you'll look back and say, now I understand why God made me wait, because if He gave it to me earlier, I wouldn't have been ready for it. So don't fear the delay, embrace it. Every second of it is building you, stretching you, and molding you into who you're meant to become. God's delay is not His denial. It's His way of saying, I love you too much to give you less than the best. Keep trusting, keep standing, and remember this. When it finally happens, it will happen suddenly, beautifully, and perfectly right on time. Your struggle is not a punishment, it's a preparation. Every hardship you face, every tear you shed, and every moment that feels too heavy to bear is shaping something powerful inside you. God never allows pain without purpose. Sometimes the very thing that feels like it's breaking you is actually the thing that's building you. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that the struggle you're facing today was the foundation for your greatest strength tomorrow. When life gets hard, it's easy to ask, why me? But instead ask, what is this teaching me? Because every struggle carries a lesson, and those lessons are what turn ordinary people into extraordinary warriors. You can't build muscle without resistance, and you can't build faith without trials. If everything were easy, you'd never grow. It's the dark nights that make you appreciate the sunrise. It's the failures that make victory meaningful. God allows the storm not to destroy you, but to teach you how to stand firm in the middle of it. Sometimes you have to go through the fire to come out refined like gold. When gold is placed in fire, it doesn't get destroyed, it gets purified. That's what your struggle is doing to you right now. It's removing the fear, doubt, pride, and weakness so the real you, strong, fearless, and faithful, can shine. Every test, every disappointment, and every rejection is shaping the person you're meant to become. You are not being punished. You are being prepared for something greater than you can imagine. Think about it. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison. Yet all of that pain was leading him to the palace. If he hadn't been in that pit, he would never have reached his purpose. Your pit doesn't define you. It prepares you. David faced lions and giants before he became king. The same struggle that makes you cry will someday make you strong enough to carry your crown. You are in training for triumph. God sees what you're going through, and He hasn't abandoned you. Sometimes He doesn't calm the storm because He's teaching you how to walk on water. Sometimes He doesn't remove the mountain because He wants to show you how to move it. When the struggle seems unbearable, remember that God trusts you enough to fight this battle. He knows what you're capable of, even when you don't. That's why He allowed it, because He's preparing you for the blessing that's on the other side of it. The pain you feel today will soon become your power. The tears you cry will water the soil of your future victory. Every heartbreak, every failure, every setback is a setup for a comeback. You may not see it now, but you're growing through what you're going through. One day, the things that hurt you will be the very things that help others heal, because your scars will carry stories of survival, hope, and faith. You'll be able to say, I've been there, I've felt that pain, but God brought me through it, and He'll do the same for you. So, don't despise your struggle, embrace it. Let it teach you, mold you, and strengthen you. Every time you choose faith over fear, you're growing. Every time you get up after falling, you're becoming stronger. Every time you say, God, I still trust you. In the middle of pain, you're unlocking a deeper level of purpose. Remember this, great destinies are not built in comfort. They're built in the fire of struggle. Your story isn't over because you're struggling, it's just beginning. God is writing a masterpiece, and the painful chapters are where your strength, faith, and courage are born. Keep going, keep believing. One day soon, you'll look back and realize that the very struggle you thought would break you actually became the reason you found your purpose, your strength, and your faith. Your struggle has a divine purpose, and that purpose will lead you straight to victory. Faith begins where fear ends. When fear says, you can't make it, faith replies, watch me. Fear is loud, it's convincing. It makes you believe that your situation is too big, your dreams are too far, and your prayers are too late. But faith is stronger. Faith whispers when fear screams. Faith stands tall when everything around you is falling apart. It's easy to believe when life is perfect, but true faith is tested when everything seems impossible. Real faith isn't about seeing results, it's about believing in God's promise even when you can't see the path ahead. Fear wants you to focus on the problem, but faith teaches you to focus on the one who can solve it. When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, he didn't walk because the water changed, he walked because he believed. The moment he looked at the waves instead of Jesus, he began to sink. That's what fear does, it drowns your courage. But faith lifts your eyes above the storm. You see, faith doesn't deny the storm, it simply refuses to be defeated by it. Sometimes you have to step out even when your knees are shaking. Faith isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. God doesn't ask for perfect confidence, He asks for obedience. He asks you to take one step, even if you don't know what's next. When Abraham left his home, he didn't know where he was going, but he trusted God. That's faith walking blindly, yet believing that God is guiding your steps. Fear paralyzes, faith activates. Fear looks at the mountain and says, it's too high. Faith looks at the same mountain and says, my God moves mountains. When you let faith lead, you begin to see possibilities where fear saw dead ends. You start realizing that the same God who opened the Red Sea for Moses who gave sight to the blind, who raised the dead. That same God is working in your life right now. The same power that raised Jesus from the grave lives in you. So why fear when the Creator of the universe walks beside you? Fear will tell you to give up, but faith will remind you to hold on. Fear tells you it's over, but faith says it's just the beginning. Every time you choose faith over fear, heaven celebrates, because faith is what pleases God. He moves when you believe. The walls of Jericho fell because of faith. The sick were healed because of faith. The impossible became possible because someone refused to listen to fear. You are no different. If you can believe, you can overcome anything. Faith doesn't mean the road will be easy. It means you'll never walk it alone. You may not have all the answers, but you have the one who does. When you put your trust in him, the impossible starts to shift. You'll find strength where you were weak, courage where you were scared, and peace where you were broken. Faith gives you the ability to look fear in the face and still move forward. It reminds you that God has never failed you before, and he won't start now. So stop letting fear control your steps. Fear builds walls, faith builds wings. Fear limits you, faith liberates you. When fear says, "What if I fall?" faith answers, "What if I fly?" You have no idea what blessings are waiting on the other side of your faith. Don't let fear rob you of your destiny. The life you're praying for is on the other side of your comfort zone. Step out, trust God, and believe that he will catch you when you leap. Remember, faith begins where fear ends. The moment you stop letting fear speak louder than your faith, miracles will begin to unfold. Don't wait until everything feels safe. It never will. Move now, believe now, and act now. Because when you take a step of faith, God takes 10 steps toward you. Walk boldly into your future knowing this truth. Fear may knock, but faith opens the door, and when faith enters, fear must leave. When you have reached the end of your strength, when every door seems locked, and every effort seems wasted, that is exactly where God begins his greatest work. God works best in the impossible. He doesn't need perfect circumstances to perform a miracle. He needs your trust. The same God who created the stars, who commands the winds, who raised the dead, is the one standing beside you right now. What seems impossible to you is completely possible for him. When you've done everything you can and you still see no change, that's when heaven begins to move. God doesn't ask you to fix it. He asks you to believe that he can. Think of every story of victory in Scripture. None of them started in comfort. Moses stood before a raging sea with an army chasing him. It looked hopeless, but God didn't remove the sea, he parted it. Daniel was thrown into a den of hungry lions. God didn't take him out, he shut the lions' mouths. The 3 Hebrew boys were thrown into the fire, but the fire couldn't touch them because God himself was in the flames with them. The pattern is clear. When things look impossible, God steps in to show that nothing can limit his power. Sometimes God lets you reach a point where your only option is to trust him completely. That's where faith is born. He wants you to stop relying on your own strength, your own plans, and your own understanding, and start leaning on him. When you finally say, "God, I can't do this on my own," heaven responds with, "Now watch what I can do." He is the God of sudden turnarounds. The same day Lazarus was dead, Jesus called his name and he walked out of the tomb alive. One word from God can turn your entire life around. You see, God allows the impossible to remind you that he is still in control. When you face something that no human can solve, it's an invitation to witness his glory. Your situation may look final, but it's not finished until God says it is. The doctor's report is not the final word. The rejection you faced is not the end of your story. The delay you're experiencing is not a denial, it's God setting the stage for a miracle so big that everyone around you will know it was him. Don't limit God with your logic. Faith doesn't make sense, and that's exactly why it works. If everything were easy to explain, there would be no room for miracles. God wants to show you that His power is greater than your reasoning. When He performs the impossible, it's not just to change your situation, it's to change your heart, to remind you that He is greater than anything that stands against you. Sometimes God will wait until the last second just to show that He is still on time. Remember, He is never late. He doesn't operate on your schedule, He operates on purpose. When He finally moves, it will happen so fast, so perfectly, that you'll realize every delay was divine preparation. The walls of your limitation will fall, the doors of opportunity will open, and the chains that held you back will break not by your power, but by His. So if you're standing in front of an impossible situation today, lift your head and hold your peace. You are standing on miracle ground. The same power that split the sea, raised the dead, and fed thousands from a few loaves is the power that lives in you. You don't need to see how, you just need to trust who. God is working behind the scenes, aligning every piece of the puzzle. And when it all comes together, you will see that nothing was wasted and nothing was out of His control. Your impossibility is God's opportunity. So don't panic, don't lose hope. Don't let fear tell you it's over. The very thing that looks impossible to you is where God will reveal His glory. Keep believing, keep praying, and keep expecting, because when God steps into your situation, the impossible becomes inevitable. There are moments in life when it feels like nothing is changing. You pray, you hope, you believe, but everything around you looks the same. It's in those moments that trusting the process becomes the hardest test of faith. You see, faith isn't proven in victory, it's proven in waiting. When you can't see progress, when the doors stay shut, when the silence grows heavier day by day, that's where God is teaching you how to walk by faith, not by sight. What looks like a pause is often divine preparation. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean God isn't moving. Think about a seed planted in the soil. Once it's buried, it disappears from sight. Days, weeks, sometimes months go by before any sign of life breaks through the ground. But while it's hidden, growth is happening beneath the surface. The roots are forming, strength is building, and the foundation is being prepared to hold what's coming. That's your life right now. You may feel buried, forgotten, or unseen, but you're not buried, you're planted. God is working underground, preparing something powerful that will soon rise into the light. The problem is, we often give up too soon. We want instant results, instant blessings, instant answers. But God's timing is not human timing. He's never in a rush because He's making something perfect. When He takes His time, it's because He's aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances for your blessing to last. If He gave it to you before you were ready, it might break you. But when you let Him build you in the waiting, you'll have the strength to hold what's coming. Sometimes you'll pray for open doors, and God will answer with closed ones, not because He's rejecting you, but because He's protecting you. Sometimes you'll ask for clarity, and God will give you silence, because silence forces you to rely on His presence instead of your plans. It's easy to lose patience, but remember this: even when you don't see progress, the process is still working. The butterfly doesn't emerge in one night. The diamond isn't formed in one day. Greatness requires time, pressure, and patience. So when life feels slow, don't be discouraged. Every step you take in faith is progress, even if you don't see the results right away. Every prayer you whisper, every tear you shed, every moment you choose to keep going instead of giving up, it all counts. You're growing in strength, in wisdom, in faith. God is refining you for something far greater than you can see right now. The process may be painful, but the promise is powerful. Look at the stories of those who waited. Abraham waited decades for his promise. Joseph waited years in prison. David waited to become king. None of them saw progress every day, but they trusted the process. And when their time came, their blessings were undeniable. You're walking the same road of faith they walked. If you stay faithful in the process, you'll stand in the promise. Don't let impatience make you quit what faith started. You might not be where you want to be yet, but you're closer than you were yesterday. Every day you remain faithful is a day closer to your breakthrough. God doesn't forget your efforts. He sees your patience, your faithfulness, your endurance, and He will reward it in His perfect time. So stop measuring progress by what you see. Start trusting what God is doing behind the scenes. He's not just changing your situation, He's changing you. He's building the character, humility, and strength required for the next level. And when He finally reveals what He's been preparing, it will make sense why it took so long. Trust the process even when you don't see progress. Keep walking, keep praying, keep believing. Because one morning, the seed that was buried in the dark will break through the soil, and you'll realize that all along, God was working, molding, and preparing you for the harvest that was always on the way. There will be moments in life when things don't go the way you planned. You'll face doors that close right before you, people who walk away, and dreams that seem to fall apart. You'll wonder, why did this happen to me? Why did God allow this? But what if the very thing you see as a loss is actually the first step towards something greater? What if the detour is the divine direction you didn't know you needed? The truth is, God's plan is always better than yours. His ways are higher, His thoughts are wiser, and His timing is perfect even when it doesn't make sense to you right now. You see, we only see a single page, but God sees the whole story. We see the moment, but He sees the outcome. We see pain, but He sees purpose. Sometimes God withholds something not to punish you, but to protect you. The relationship that ended, the job that slipped away, the opportunity that disappeared, they were never meant to break you. They were meant to guide you to what's truly yours, because God doesn't take without the intention to replace it with something better. What you lost wasn't the end, it was the beginning of redirection. We often fight for our own plans, thinking we know what's best for us. But when God closes a door, it's not rejection, it's redirection. He sees what you can't. He sees the heartbreak that opportunity would have brought, the pain that path would have caused, and the disaster that decision would have led to. You cry over what you lost, but God smiles because He knows what's coming next. You wanted good, but He's preparing great. You wanted safe, but He's building extraordinary. His plan may confuse you, but it will never fail you. Look back on your life for a moment. How many times did something you thought was the end turn out to be a blessing in disguise? The pain you endured taught you strength. The rejection you faced taught you resilience. The waiting season taught you patience. Nothing was wasted. Every chapter had a purpose, even the ones that hurt the most. God doesn't write broken stories. He writes redemption stories. And one day, you'll look back and realize that every no led you closer to the ultimate yes. God's plan will never be what you imagined, but it will always be what you need. He may take you through valleys before He brings you to mountaintops. He may allow storms before He reveals calm seas. But through it all, He's shaping your heart, building your character, and preparing your spirit for what's next. The same God who turned Joseph's prison into a palace, who turned David's battle into victory, who turned the cross into salvation, that same God is working in your life right now. And just like them, your story will end in triumph. So stop trying to figure everything out. Stop fighting against what didn't work. Stop questioning every delay, every detour, every disappointment. Sometimes God's not yet is a greater blessing than His yes. When you finally surrender your plan and trust His, peace will flood your soul. You'll understand that what seemed like chaos was actually divine order in disguise. God's plan doesn't fail, it fulfills. It may not happen the way you wanted, but it will happen the way it was meant to. One day, everything will make sense. You'll look back and thank God for the closed doors, for the heartbreaks, for the seasons of waiting. You'll thank him for every time he said no, because his no was protecting you from less than what you deserve. You'll realize that his plan wasn't to hurt you, but to heal you, to elevate you, and to lead you to the destiny he created just for you. So keep trusting, even when the road is unclear. Keep walking, even when the path is painful. Keep believing, even when you don't understand, because God's plan is never late, never wrong, and never small. It's bigger, better, and more beautiful than anything you could ever imagine. When your plan fails, don't lose faith. Lift your eyes to heaven and say, God, I trust your plan more than my own. And when the time is right, you'll see that everything you went through was necessary to bring you exactly where you were always meant to be.